Hello everyone, I want to keep this one short and sweet. Alright, so I was thinking, right? What makes a person use some kind of weapon? You know how that we have AWPers? How some people, are riflers, some people excel at certain things. So I was wondering, what if their forefathers used a certain type of weaponry, in the medieval times? Okay, let me cook. In the medieval times, whatever your ancestors used, you tend to use in CS, if you think about it. Alright? So that got me down this rabbit hole. So I'm trying to, in games, usually there's guns. You kill people or things with guns, or you kill them with swords and, spears. So, that got me thinking. Is there a correlation here between the guns that we find in games and the weapons we find, the medieval kind, the ancient kind with the blades? And yeah, let's just get straight into it. All right, I can't buy right now, but we're gonna start with the rifles. I got the AK right now, so in my opinion, the AK is closest to we're going something classic, we're going something popular. I'm gonna say the Shamshir, the Arabic kind or whatever it is that they use over there. Back in the medieval times, during the holy wars, the Muslims that used the Shamshir, you can see the resemblance. So rifles, the main ones, are very useful. They're very versatile. You can use them in a variety of situations. They're pretty good. So I can only liken them to swords. That's why for the AK I'm going for the Shamshir, and for the M4 I actually switch. Alright, here we have the M4. I'm gonna liken the M4 to the good old sword that the Christians use, the one that looks like a cross with a double-edged. So yeah, I guess that makes a lot of sense. And you know how M4 is more accurate? So when someone sees you all of a sudden, you want to turn around and hit them, it's a lot easier because the accuracy is, it collects itself, it becomes pinpoint accuracy much faster than AK, because AK is like more widespread. So that's why, a double-edged sword, if you miss, for example, it's easier to pull it back and still, land the hit, because it's double, it has two edges. So yeah, that's what I think. And the Shamshir is like, I think you get the analogy. And then, actually, let me look at the items here. So the vests are obviously armors, medieval kind of armors. The Zeus, I don't think there's a medieval equivalent for Zeus. I don't know about that one. But yeah, let me keep switching. Let me look at this. Alright, so we get the pistols, right? So if you think about it, pistols are basically knives back in the ancient times. And when your main gun runs out of bullets, right, what do? You switch to your knife. You switch to a pistol first because it's always faster than reloading, but then you switch to your knife, And that should be sign enough that pistols are basically, the knives of the modern era. Because back in the day, if someone gets close to you, you can't, attack them with the sword. You need something fast that doesn't deal a lot of damage. Does that remind you of something? Pistols. How about that? So the equivalent of pistols are basically daggers back in the day. So if you, for example, I missed a lot of shots there. That was actually embarrassing. So if you actually, for example, there are many examples of this that make sense. All right, I'm gonna, as we get deeper into the weapons, I'm gonna talk about all of it. But keep in mind that basically daggers back in the day were pistols, and they're much faster than swinging your main weapon. That's why it's good. So, and then we're gonna get to the next category here. So pistols are basically daggers back in the day, and then we get to SMGs. Okay, so SMGs, this is the mid tier. I'm talking about the mid tier. First of all, we're gonna talk about SMGs. I actually don't know I don't know a good equivalent for them. So I don't know. I'll leave that one to you, you know, to the comments section to see if you guys have an answer for it, because they have a lot of bullets, right? They have a lot of bullets. They're very fast. They're like daggers, but if like there was an improved version of daggers. I don't know how to put this, but maybe like a yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the equivalent would be. But then, you know, we get to shotguns. Shotguns I can actually talk about, you know. Back in the day, I think the best way to put shotguns in the medieval terms, for y'all, my people from 1300s watching this video, are maces, you know. Because maces are generally, you know, generally short-ranged. Shotguns are short-range. You don't really need to aim maces. So, for example, when you have a sword or spear, you have to aim in certain areas of the armor to pierce, right? If you hit him on the armor, nothing's gonna happen. But the shotgun, it really doesn't matter where you hit him. You just have to hit him in the general vicinity, right? Because it's a huge head, and you don't need to aim for the holes between the armor. So you can just basically go wild as long as they're in range for the hammer, or, you know, in modern terms, the shotguns. So that's what the shotguns are. Let me see if I have another shotgun. Okay, here's the auto. And imagine, you know, if your ancestors was a big, you know, mace guy, they would be, you know, breathing heavily all the time, which is reloading in modern terms. They would be reloading all the time, just getting close to their opponent and just swinging wildly, you know. No need to aim, no need to nothing. And yeah, it just works, you know. I think that's the best analogy for shotguns. It's that. And then we get to the heavy machine guns. I think the best way to do the heavy machine gun, raid the heavy machine guns, is by greatsword. You know, the big ass fucking ones that you hold it like this, you know, put it on your shoulder because it's too heavy. I think the best way to the best analogy for them is those greatsword or massive greats. I don't know, ultra greatsword. I don't know what they're called. But yeah, they're basically the same thing. They're like a worse version of a regular sword. Because a regular sword is like versatile, it's fast, it's not gonna fuck you up, it's not that heavy, you know, and it's just something about the movement, you know, which in modern terms is the aim for guns. I can, you know, you can put it like that. The aim is gonna be shit for the heavy machine gun, and the same goes for the the big ass swords. So I think that's a great analogy for them, because, you know, it's like this, you're gonna hold a line, but everybody knows what you're doing. You know, you can't be sneaky with a great sword. You know, everybody's gonna see the swing coming, and that's the problem with them. So yeah, there goes great sword. And then P90. I mean, again, the SMGs, I don't know what to liken them to. But then here we get to Galil. I mean, this is just another rifle. Imagine AK if the Shamshir was like, if you made it a bit longer, I guess, because the ammo for this one is bigger. So I'm thinking maybe more blade, you know, put more blade behind it, but then reduce the, I guess putting more blade behind it does reduce the versatility of how the attacks are gonna come. And that, I think that's a good way to put the limitation that comes with not being able to one-shot people with the Galil. Yeah, so you're starting to get an idea of what a medieval version of CS would look like right about now. So what else have we got? And then we get to the SG, for example. Now the SG, I can liken it to a flail, you know, just a shitty flail, you know, because I mean the inspiration for this video came from playing Half Sword, the early access that came out. And I think the SSG is like a very good, you know, a very good representative for what flails look like in modern times. It's like if you really want to meme, I mean, you can get a kill with it, you know, same goes for flails. You can do something with it, but it's not gonna be pretty, alright? So if you played Half Sword, flails work, but only if you land a headshot. Other than that, you're wasting your fucking life. They're basically useless. And the same goes for the SSG, so that's why I think it's a perfect analogy. for the SSG, because if you land 2 body hits with the SSG, you know what I'm saying, it works, but it's like, why would you do that? You put yourself at so much risk. And here's another thing: if you miss with the flail, you're fucked, you know. If you miss your first hit with the flail, the enemy is gonna, in medieval terms, you know, close the gap, get close to you and fuck you up. Same goes for the SG. If you don't land a headshot, they're gonna come to you and blast you up. And then for the AWP, and the AWP is analogous of the spear. So I love making this analogy. Like, the AWP was the first one that actually came to mind, because when I was thinking about it, the same way, if you miss an AWP, you're fucked, you know. They're gonna catch you with your pants down, basically. The same goes for the spear, because if the spear, you know, misses, if you want to land a spear hit on someone and you miss, they're gonna close the gap on you and, you know, destroy you. And here I want to make a very cool analogy. Like, if you think about it, here's another one. Shields back in the day, I can, you know, you can say they're an analogy for bunny hops in CS, if you think about it long enough. Let me cook, alright? Let me cook with this one. So bunny hops are basically shields back in the day, because they allow you to not get hit. That's what the purpose of a shield is, if you think about it. And now this helps a lot, because you can imagine, you know, back in the day, those guys that would hold the shield up, you know, and hold the shield up and just spear. You know, I was gonna show you a little bit of bunny hopping there. I was not expecting to get hit. Anyways, you know, some people, how back in the day, they would hold the spear and then hold the shield, put the spear on top of the shield, and, you know, poke. Those guys are basically AWPers that, you know, bunny hop, you know, do this shit. And that's basically what that is. If you think about it long enough, I think that's a good analogy, a good way to understand it. And I mean, it didn't work there. And how this is funny, you know, it all comes together, is that if someone with a sword, for example, and a shield also does the same thing, if you see those medieval fight videos or whatever, what they do is, with spears, if you have a shield, you can easily just, you know, push away the spear when they try to attack you, you know, catch it with the shield, then push it away, and then close the gap. Because only the blade of the spear, I mean, is dangerous. If you put that aside, the stick, you know, if you stick to it, if you stick to this, I mean, the handle of the weapon, that's what I mean by stick. If you stick to the handle, they're not gonna be able to do much to you. So it's like a thing. That's how that works. And yeah, so shields are like that. So basically, if you have an AK and you bunny hop in front of the AWPer, and the AWPer misses the shot, they're fucked. So that's why I think it's pretty good. It's the same in the medieval times. You shield the spear and you close the gap. In modern times, you bunny hop the first shot that they do to get close to them and actually, you know, catch them with their pants down. That's how it happens. And yeah, so I think that's good. That's another one down. So let me check out what else. Okay, we have the auto. I think the auto sniper can be best described as, you know, in ancient medieval terms, it would be the crow's beak. I think, I don't know the exact name, but I think that's the goofy name that the community of the medieval weapon enthusiasts give that weapon. It's like, that's the name that they give it. It's like crow's beak. And it's a very interesting weapon. And why I say that is, like, with the spear, if you kind of miss, very much you can do, but crow's beak gives you a lot more versatility. That's what I mean by auto sniper, because you don't get just one shot that if you miss, you know, it's a problem. You get multiple shots, you get to try again. And with the crow's beak, I'm gonna put up a picture for you guys. It's like, if you miss the spear part of the crow's beak, there's also other shit around it. So you can actually, if you miss the spear, you can fucking swing it back around. And that's the same thing with the auto sniper. You miss the shot, boom, you know, do it again. Fucking don't use the scope and use it like this. You know, so much more versatility options. And it basically, it's OP if you think about it. You know, fucking, you can do anything with this gun. It's pretty good. Close range, long range is good. That's why. And crow's beak is is basically cheating. If you think about it, it's like it's like too good, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I can't bunny hop, but you get the idea with that other thing. Anyways, what else do we have? I want to talk about the grenades a little bit. I don't think we have decoys. I mean, if you have any ideas in regards to that, you can tell me in the comments. But I don't think decoys have a medieval equivalent, really, you know. But yeah, I get. What? Let me kill that guy. Okay. So when you get to the grenades, the Molotov, that has to. I mean, the oil that you pour on top of people back in the medieval times, that could be the Molotov. There's like the black oozing thing. I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, that can be the Molotov. I mean, there are many medieval examples where they pour shit on top of people to make them burn. That could be the incendiary. For the explosive grenade, now this is a hot take. Come in, you know. All bows, crossbows, fucking war bows, whatever you want to call them. All bows, I think, could be an analogy, you know, in CS for the HE grenade. So the way it works is that, what are grenades in CS? You use them to sort of lower the HP of your opponent, you know, fucking tenderize them for the kill, you know what I'm saying? And that's basically what arrows were back in the ancient times. Because if you watch some of those videos trying to use arrows to pierce plate armor, it's basically impossible. So if bows are deadly, you know, bows can be deadly, you know, can be dangerous, just like HE grenades, but they're not the main tool for murder, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't work like that. That's why it's like people in front of the battle lines back in the day doing the actual fighting, and supporters from behind shooting with bows and arrows, you know. And you know, in today's world, that's basically your friend go in front and you throwing a HE grenade back there, you know, just to deal extra damage while you're still not in contact with the enemy. So that's why I think it's like a really good analogy. It's not for the kill, you know, but you do it. It could randomly, you know, land in someone's armor back in the day, the arrows, and cause some decent damage. But outside of that, it's like it's not your main weapon. It's not your. But you can do some flashy things with it, you know. Just lower their health, you know, back in the day, and just use a bow to finish them off. It's like that could be a cool move. You know how in CS you lower their health and throw a grenade, and they can't do anything about it. I think that's perfect actually. So yeah, we have smoke grenades again. I don't know any equivalent of medieval equivalent for smoke grenades, but yeah, if you know it, tell me about that. And then we have flash. Flash has to be, I mean, the medieval equivalent is definitely sand. I don't know about dirt. Dirt doesn't spread like that, you know, it's harder to land. But if you have sand, you know, in an area of sand, you can just grab a handful and just fucking pour that shit into their face. You know, it works, it's fast, you know, they can't do much about it because it spreads, right? And it gets in their mouth and it gets in their ears, they can't see shit, they can't, you know, they can't think straight. And that's why I think sand in medieval time was basically the flash, you know. So yeah, you could have someone in front, because in CS you have the flasher guy behind you, like the guy behind you flashes, you go in, right? And in medieval time, you know, your homie is in the front, you know, with the sword. See, now we run into some problems because you can't really throw the sand from behind, because it's gonna get into your friend's eyes anyways. I guess that happens with the flash too, you know. Never mind, actually. I guess that is how that works. Okay, well, I talked about the grenades, talked about the rifles, fucking talked about the SMGs, the shotgun, P90. I think I covered most of everything. I think that was pretty good, pretty thorough. The guns that I don't have in my loadout right now are the auto pistol. I don't know analogy for the auto pistol in medieval times. I don't know, what would it be? And then we have the R8, the revolver, which yeah, I don't know about that. You know, for the minute details, like I know what pistols are basically knives back in the day. You switch to them, but like we need someone professional, you know, that knows a lot about daggers back in the day to say which one is analogous of which one, you know, which pistol means what. Alright, is for example that, you know, the dig is like a, could be like a very chunky knife, that kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Other than that, we have, I mean, there's the kind of SMG, you know, there's another kind of LMG. Yeah, I guess, you know, this covers mostly everything. If you want more hard takes and, you know, random videos, I mean, yeah, this is just something random that came to my mind. And I always think about it, you know, think about, like, if this person uses this kind of sword in this, you know, kind of old type of combat game, that means they probably use this gun in like a shooter game, and that really fascinates me. Like, shotgun users use mace, I mean, or should at least use mace in medieval type games, or rifle users, you know, the vanilla rifle users could just switch to a nice sword if they're doing that, and alpers and scout users can just switch to spears or, you know, flails. But yeah, I think that's I just found it interesting. That's it.